Thank you, Paul, for calling this important press conference. I am sure, in fairness to President Bush, that there are some people who are really enthusiastic about his tax relief program. I happen not to know any of those people. And most of those people, I suspect, are people who make millions, if not billions of dollars a year. And I suppose from their point of view, they think it's a great idea that the richest 1% of the population should receive 40% of the tax breaks. What I can honestly tell you as someone who goes around the state of Vermont a whole lot, knocks on a lot of doors, holds a lot of town meetings, I have not heard one Vermonter ever tell me that, Bernie, the highest priority of the United States Congress should be to give huge tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires. People tell me a lot of things. Nobody has ever told me that. Now, it seems to me that when you look at the crisis of education, and when you hear politician after politician talking about the needs of education, then that tax proposal that Mr. Bush is proposing is an absolute disgrace. Let's look at just some of the realities of what's going on in education today. The average graduate of a four-year college in this country ends up $20,000 in debt, not including the debt incurred by his or her parents. That means that there are kids not going to the colleges they want to go to, not going to college at all, having to choose careers they otherwise would not choose because of that huge debt. Meanwhile, over the years, Pell Grants and other federal student aid programs have in no way kept up with the high cost of college inflation. The idea of giving tax breaks to billionaires and not adequately funding student needs for higher education is a total disgrace. Last week, I happened to meet with a number of child care providers in the state of Vermont, and I expect that the story they told me is not different than any other state in this country. What we are doing for infants in this country is abysmal. It is a disgrace. It is criminal. We have child care workers all over this country who are earning $6 or $7 an hour, who do not have benefits, who do not have training. Children at the most vulnerable age of their lives are not getting the proper nourishment, are not getting the proper nurturing that they need. And these are the kids who are now becoming more violent, who will do worse in school, who will end up in jail. So instead of investing in tax breaks for billionaires, it seems to me a lot more sensible that we provide significant increases in child care funding. Years ago, the United States Congress made a pledge to school systems all over this country. And it said that if you mainstream children with disabilities, we will provide 40% of the funding. Meanwhile, in Vermont and in school districts all over America, school systems are struggling because they have, in fact, mainstreamed their kids, which is an expensive proposition, but the federal government has in no way kept its commitment in terms of that 40% of funding. To ignore those realities of higher education, of child care, of special education, of a dozen other areas in education, and say we think a more important priority is tax breaks for billionaires is absolutely immoral and absurd. And I can tell you that the Progressive Caucus is going to fight this tooth and nail. We're going to go to the American people, and we're going to stop these outrageous tax breaks for people who don't need them.